Welcome back, everyone, to the Splat chat. I'm Vapor, joined with Fusion, Nox, and Rocket, and we have a lot to discuss. A lot of events recently just happened. SuperJump is starting up tomorrow with day number 1. Fusion, let's start with you. How ready do you think these teams are going to be heading into SuperJump?
I mean, it seems like teams are still getting on their feet, especially after. I mean, this is the first patch, and with new content in so long, we saw a lot of exciting action last weekend with 4v4 Sundays and Barnacle Bash. A lot of high top level teams testing out maybe new toys, seeing if anything works. Some teams sticking with their guns. We saw some interesting stuff. It was, I believe, Milk Duds, the Starburst FT Win sort of team that ended up coming out on top. I want to say unsurprisingly, but they definitely had some competition, and they're going to have to keep their eyes out as we go to this next weekend. Well, tomorrow, I guess, because there's a lot of teams who have a bullet with their name on it.
Oh, definitely. And we'll get to some events like that. As you mentioned, 4v4 Sundays. We'll get to that here in a few moments. But Nox, you've been around the corner for commentary as well, and the scene in general. So how do you think these teams are going to prepare and make sure they are ready for SuperJump?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just going to be messing around with new comps, making sure that they're ready to deal with whatever gets thrown their way. Hopefully we see some big bubblers in response to the mini. That did seem to end up helping out Milk Duds last week. It'll be very interesting to see how people adapt. I do expect to see too much of that new mini, though.
Yeah, that a lot of people like that mini Splatling, that's for sure.
It's a kit that allows you to play so quickly. Nothing can keep up with it.
Definitely. Rocket, off to you as well before we get some more general conversation among us going. How do you feel these teams are going to be ready, or how ready do you think these teams are going to be heading into this weekend?
I mean, I hope that they're really, really prepared. And I mean, I feel like we all expect them to be. There's a lot on the line with this particular SuperJump, obviously with the Splat World Series as well. I mean, there's just a lot on the line in this, in combination with, like you all mentioned, just like the new patch being released as well. I'm sure that these teams will have to be doing their homework, and we fully expect them to be, because, I mean, this is the big stage. This is where all bets are off. You just have to make sure that you have your game plan down and just everything executes.
Oh, definitely. And with many events that many of our SuperJump teams have played in, let's start things off by looking over at Barnacle Bash 7, which I don't remember which one of you I was talking to about this event before we went live, but one of you looked at the results for this bracket and was like, man, there's not many teams, but the teams that are here are very quality.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wasn't expecting too much, especially a tournament the day before 4v4 Sundays, super common, and it was like a special event too. A super big, super popular tournament. Barnacle Bash got a lot of incredible signups. There we see Tongue, Gray Soldier, Jared Goss. They're not going to be teaming together this SuperJump, but they are all contenders for high-level teams. The team that got second, however, I believe is they were TSPMO in 4v4 Sundays. They ended up getting second in that. They're a very strong team, I think, in particular, that we want to keep an eye out for. I mean, you kind of are getting a preview here of the results that we may see tomorrow and Sunday, just from these teams in the top 5 or 8. A lot of very familiar names, and I'd say impressively, Hypernova, I know, is newly created. So for a team like that to get third and be outplacing some other strong teams like Vanguard is a very good sign. We definitely want to keep an eye out for them.
Yeah, a thing to note with Hypernova especially, though, is that a lot of those players, while it's a new team, it's not players that are new to each other at all. Those are players that have played together in pickups for essentially forever. I'd say on some level, at least since the start of S3. Though with Synapse, there's a chance that goes even further.
Very much so.
Yeah, sorry. Just a little bit, like, something to notice. Like, you were talking about Vanguard. A little bit surprising to me, kind of just the placement they got here. I know, like, obviously that's not something that you want to kind of show when you have something big upcoming, but a little bit of a spoiler for what I have. I think I still have faith in them to just kind of recollect from this and just kind of rebound off of this, because obviously this is not something that we typically expect of a team such as Vanguard, such established as Vanguard there. You see the upset down there in the losers bracket.
They were seeded number 2 in this event as well, and they just fell off right after round 1. A good solid win there, but only taking one of the next 6 games that were played, which is just unfortunate to see from a very experienced team like Vanguard is as players. And to correct over to that number 2 placing team, I have Inspiration. Yeah, we are basically going to see that team in, but we're going to see Yoshell instead of Noah playing for them. It's going to be Zenith, Silver, Volti, and Yoshell playing on that roster as Aura for SuperJump.
Yeah, I do believe that. I believe Yoshell played a lot with Atomic, if I'm not mistaken. So they used to be a super big duo. I do like to see fun roller comps coming out. I mean, Volti's roller kind of storms through everyone. I'm not going to have any, hard feelings for Vanguard in this, because the teams that they have ended up losing to through this event, the I Have Inspiration, that's the team that we'll see later, got second in 4v4 Sundays. That's a super strong team to keep an eye out for. I believe Urza is just coming back after a bit of a break with Team Vanguard. So I still think that they can do pretty well in this next, in SuperJump tomorrow.
I really hope they do so as well, because looking at our next event, 4v4 Sundays, as you mentioned, Vanguard also played in this, but we can't really find them until we look at the very bottom of this results page, placing in a three-way tie for last.
I do believe they didn't end up actually playing at all. I think they just couldn't be dropped in time, just as a note there.
All right. That's definitely something very good to know. I wouldn't know that, but just looking at the other teams there, it's like, ooh, interesting falling this far down without any back-end knowledge.
Yeah, they weren't actively. They were essentially just forced to drop. They weren't forced to drop. They had to drop in a weird way, essentially. It happened after bracket start, technically, so it was just a little complicated.
Fair enough. But other teams to look out here, especially in the more middle of the pack, Monsoon, and ended up 9th place, tied up with Artifice, which Artifice did end up playing in the most recent Sendu Q season finale. So it's good to keep an eye on them as potential rising stars up to that similar caliber as Monsoon.
Absolutely. I also think that...
Oh, sorry.
You're so funny.
I blame Discord latency.
Yeah, it is. What I was saying, I just wanted to mention when you take a look near the winners bracket finals, you see there 2 other teams I feel like we're gonna get into as well. I mean, you have Moonlight and some members of Milk Duds. I believe Kyo is gonna be playing there as well. So just, will the Moonlight curse continue is, I guess, what I'm getting at for this Super Jump here. I mean, they got 3rd here. Feeling like they're just again, it's like a mental wall with them. I don't know if that's that horse has been beaten to a pulp yet, but I guess I'm here to continue doing so. Just it's just a mental block of Moonlight. Is this again just continuous of is this finally the time they maybe just maybe go away from the pack, or are they just gonna continue with tradition of just just being ever so short.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Nox.
No, you're good. I definitely think that it's not quite Moonlight's time yet. I think it's getting closer to their time. I just don't think, from what I've seen them do in tournaments so far, it's just not quite there yet.
Yeah, the sun's got to go down first.
Mm-hmm.
Before
They've been
Exactly.
getting a
before the
lot of
moonlight
work.
comes out.
Exactly.
It's too hot out here for the moon to shine just yet. Welcome to the summer, everyone.
Wow.
But we
I do
did
hope
get
everyone's staying
confirmation from Jared directly, one of our socials leads, and ended up reaching out to Jared, being like, "Hey, are you playing SuperJump 5? And what team are you playing with?" Jared is confirmed to play with Milk Duds with the roster of themselves, Kyo, Ice, and .Q.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the finale of 4v4 Sundays was super exciting.
Yes.
We did end up seeing this go to the final possible game. Excuse me. Yeah. I'm sorry. The name. Yeah, I'm not. Bloodworm.
Yeah, Bloodworm.
Ended up 3-2ing Milk Duds, and Milk Duds ended up coming back and winning 3-2. I mean, usually
they had to make some significant comp changes, though.
They did have to adapt. I do think, I mean, certainly Bloodworm put up like an incredible fight, and
Absolutely.
they're definitely going to be a contender. However, I'm going to say a little like skeptical of whether it's going to happen again, because how many times like have we seen like the is it like the Starburst or FT Win upset in finals, and then we go to reset and it's just lights out. It wasn't lights out this time, but
no, but by the game 5 of reset it was.
yeah, like I think that's the kind of adaptation that we do really like to see. I mean, when high level teams can just like adapt on the fly, other teams perhaps would take like a lot longer and lose the set before that could happen. I mean, they did lose a set here, but they gave themselves that wiggle room. I'm looking forward to seeing how like team compositions adapt. I think that we've kind of been living in the pencil era for so long that now with some new cooler options and the new terrifying mini Splatling, if teams compositions are going to be like adapting big time, because you can't really just play the same game with that thing around.
It's a very different game for sure.
Like just having that really strong support weapon. We've seen how much mini Splatling can do as a main weapon back when it played towards the top in Splatoon 1 with that bubbler special. Not only do you continue to have a really good supportive option with that beacon this time around on that sub, but having one of the better specials in the game that can basically destroy anything from far range as a support weapon to create opening opportunities with that Trizuka.
And the beacon to just constantly get players back in. I can see it starting to enable some anchorless comps if people really want to get creative with it. I don't expect people to get creative with it yet. But in a few months, we might start seeing not a lot of anchorless comps, but I think we could start seeing more.
I mean, hey, I just came off commentating finals of Triton Cup 106, and there was an adaptation. It did end up going to bracket reset, and we did see that the team that ended up getting swept made the adjustment to go to the Claws 96, the new cooler 96. And that's another interesting weapon that they ran backless. If my memory serves me correctly, CKK, please correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was the 96 with the most range, going up against a classic pen comp, and they ended up taking that set 3-1 and ended up winning Triton Cup 106 with it. So it's really interesting to see, like, that could be another potential, just like you were talking about, like having that be the quote-unquote anchor and going away from pen or edit.
Yeah, I definitely think there's going to be a shift to more flexible comps with Mini specifically. I can actually see Mini and Edit running in the same comp without an issue. I think that would be particularly strong. I don't think we're going to see it yet from top teams especially, but I expect that with some time we might. It just takes a while to get a pencil player used to playing edit.
Yeah,
And even if they don't want to play edit, like just running that mini splatling, because that mini can be your effective paint bot in a way. Like it can be like an anchor does not have to be your ranged weapon. You can easily run that mini splatling to be your anchor, just paint up everything similar to what people do with pencil currently. Drop down beacons, get your team in a lot faster than jumping in regularly. Use Azuka to open up those opportunities, and you could also switch off over from something like that heavy or pencil over to what people seem to say is a potential contender for that ranged option in that new Winter Rapid Pro.
Yeah, definitely an interesting option. Oddly, I mean, as a rapid player, it feels weird not having like the indirect damage poking tool. Like, I mean, the marker was so good on it.
Yeah.
Suction bomb's incredible as well, but it's definitely like interesting because I think people were eyeing up playing that rapid perhaps in a double cooler team composition. I think we even saw some emergence of the red dapple dualies, which we have like never seen throughout the entire game's lifespan. And it's like the existence of a cooler weapon that doesn't like paint farm to get the special is kind of interesting, just because it's more of like a hybrid role. It does some poking, it does some killing, it gets cooler. So having like no true support weapon, like Dapples has like a pure support kit, but it's an aggressive weapon, like as a main, is interesting because you just kind of got like a mishmash of like jack of all trades weapons on a team.
Yeah,
there's definitely some new options that are unlocked.
I think rapid comps have the potential to be ridiculously fast, especially with that Dapple. And the potential for them to just kind of bully pencil comps out is there for sure.
One of the main reasons like people run pen and heavy for that fast cooler is that there really isn't another early special option that people can use consistently. And with having that cooler, you could easily just build it up in the first 15 seconds, throw it down, team grabs it, and tries to make a play with another special. But my idea is, what if we switch over to a different early special, like we get more early Trizukas out to try to counter that cooler option?
Yeah.
We could potentially get some like early whales to cause more displacement. The new Splattershot Pro as well with some early missiles. Another good option. We
can't go back to early missiles. We can't go back there. I can't live that again. I can't
bring back early missiles because then we could play the other mini Splatling from Splatoon 2.
That's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of new weapon kits that I feel like just like have kind of just have like many of them have just entered like the this is just a direct upgrade to kind of one or the others, but there's some other ones kind of like you mentioned the Pro. As a shot player, it's like I'm just like I can finally fight mid lines. I don't have to just like suffer when there's a dread on the other side. But kind of speaking of dread as well, another one, the crab dread, another special another weapon that I see is just one of those weapons, especially on a map. Like, for instance, Splat Zone's Barnacle and Dime. You just get that crab immediately, and boom. You immediately just have that crab right on the zone already. And it's just, like, a matter of just these weapons. Like, at the current state they are right now are pretty broken. Like, in terms of just, like, if a team knows how to build around it right, they could do a lot of damage.
Yeah,
they definitely gave us... Yeah, they definitely gave us really strong competitive kits with this patch, which is nice to see.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's really interesting that we have some cool crab weapons. However, they also gave us like the greatest Zuka weapon of all time and gave us another buff of specials against crab.
Yeah.
I think we saw like Splash occasionally in 4v4 Sundays, like picked once or twice, but it wasn't like it was like a meta staple for years. And I think like when the meta had like solidified over the last like 6 months or something like that. I think that like it and decav were so common, and we barely saw any
Yes.
of those in 4v4 Sundays. I'm kind of expecting to see a little bit of a return of decav
Yeah.
and maybe some splash, but honestly, I think people are going to be hesitant to play any other crab weapons, like at least for a little while.
I kind of disagree, actually. I personally think that we're more likely to see the Dread over Splash. I think we're going to see more pros than Splash in regards to like painting long distance special kind of situation, because it can play more aggressively. I think we are seeing the fall off of the support role kind of as a whole. It's definitely becoming more of a flexible thing, which is interesting to watch happen.
Yeah, a lot of the support shooters have kind of just like fallen out of grace, just of some people, like you mentioned, with the Dread just being, just having more range, being a better main weapon in terms of just direct fighting, with kind of just the amount of like weapons you'll see, like Stampers. It's still, you see a little bit of S-Blast here and there, but just these weapons that are just able to kind of close, like these support shooters can't really close the distance on easily. I mean, yes, Splash was good just because it was able to have that quick mobility. You still had Burst Bomb. Burst Bomb is still really, really good at just being able to play into the chip comps. But I mean, that's just a sub. You have the main weapon of the Dread to kind of do that yourself.
Yeah, I don't think Splash is like dead. I think Splash is still completely usable, but I don't think it's a staple anymore. I think it's a one-tricks weapon now, which is never a spot Splash has really been in before. Junior's been in it. Zap's been in it. A lot of the fast, lightweight shooters have. Splash has never had that before. Splash has always been, Splash is just really good. Anyone can pick up Splash. Anyone will be fine with Splash. It will work in any comp. And that was true in Splatoon 2 because of Suction Bomb Rush and the nightmare it brought.
I miss Suction Rush, man.
No.
I do not.
Way too strong.
Blubber.
But I think that we're going to see a lot more of the pro. I think it fulfills not the same role in a comp, but I think it is the most comparable that we'll have right now. And it's way better at fighting at a distance. It's way better at poking. It's got a good kit. And then for crab weapons, yeah, I think it'll be the new Dreadringer. I think the like traditional paint supports are going to be something we see a lot less of with how fast Splatoon 3 is now.
Yeah, I mean the margin for error I think has gone down like so much. I mean, like I think part of the shift to like S-Blast, for example, was kind of you just want anything that can give you the advantage of like a one-hit KO from range. Things that kill slowly are just not allowed. You want things that either can affect the game without risking like their own life, or things that can, drastically shift the tide. So I think like we're definitely seeing a lot of like non-committal mid-range special and paint spammy weapons. I think in the last over the last like few tournaments.
Yeah, but at the
I'm
same
wondering
time,
if that's a trend that's going to continue.
I think it likely is, but at the same time, we're also seeing weapons that want to go in really, really aggressively and need the paint weapons to be able to jump back into. It's a really interesting duality of you need to be okay with getting punished, because if you don't take the risk in Splatoon 3, you physically don't get to do anything.
One thing that I've realized over time that's mainly been the bigger change between Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3 is more of the idea of zoning and control. Because a lot of that idea, yes, it's still there, but is mostly out of the window based around how the specials are being used. You don't really have armor to work around to control an area as safely. You don't have Stingray to open up an opportunity, and missiles are being used less and less. Maybe a slight rise in recency with the new Pro, but with that being top meta, probably not going to see that in the Splatoon 3 lifespan.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very different game.
So I want to kind of present this to kind of add on to this. Is there a viable comp, such as maybe on a particular zone map? I can't exactly think of an example where you could theoretically run maybe like a 3 midline, 1 backline. I don't know how much viable it would be, but like my first thought would be maybe you could be running something like a Stamper, a Dread, the new Pro, and then a Pen. Would that be something that we could see occasionally? Yeah, there could be potential flaws with that, but kind of what you mentioned of just like zoning out, that kind of balances. Like I have seen it before, and it just got me thinking of just like I don't know if because like normally in like the regular comps you do see Splash being the shortest range weapon in terms of that, but with now Splash being potentially people preferring the Dread over it, could we see potentially that?
We could. I think that comp would struggle with speed. I think that would end up being a little too slow on any map, personally. I think it couldn't get in fast enough, especially against things like the new Mini, where they just can punish you so easily. And they can have a QR feeder go in, do skirmisher stuff. Not even feeder, just a QR player. Go in, do skirmisher stuff like we were seeing Kyo do on Try, for example. Didn't quite work out against Volti, but that's playing against Volti. The rules are different when you play against Volti. It is. It's a different game when you play against a good card.
Yeah, it also just comes down to the idea of just speed in general. Like, this is a more speed control game rather than being more methodical with specials, where like those shorter range weapons are what's always been more likely to appear. We've always seen that splatter shot, at least in the West, for a long time with that Trizuka. Then we went over to the Squeezer. If we even look at Splatoon 2, Squeezer, yes, it has more of that range, but it played for the speed with that bubble combo it had.
Yeah.
Like it or hate it, that's how it was played. Same with that Kenza 52 gal. It was more zoning with the speed options. That's why Try is so good, as you were mentioning with Kyo. That's why Carbon is also a very good weapon. Yeah. They lack heavily in paint, so you need a lot to work around that. But that's why those weapons are so good. That's also why a lot of those mid-range weapons are so good, like your blasters, because they have decent mobility.
Go in, get picked off. It's fine. You jump back in.
Yeah, that's kind of what worries me when I think of a comp with no frontline. Yeah. Is that with Cooler's been omnipresent for like 2.5 years.
Cooler's not going anywhere.
Cooler's not going anywhere. And now they have, Mini's an incredible beacon weapon. Dapple's potentially on the rise. I feel like you can't afford to just sit and paint the zone and stop people from staying back. And
that's Splatoon 2.
Yeah, exactly. Like that is Splatoon 2. And now that you can like jump in, trade, jump back in,
trade again,
and the other two weapons are now like a mini Splatling and a dually Sculptor trying to get back in from spawn. Like you're coming out on top because you have the Cooler. Like Cooler incentivizes you to engage, and so like pretty much I think never in the future of Splatoon 3 are we going to see like team compositions that avoid engaging almost entirely. Like
no, we're gonna see more and more engagement. And at some point, I worry that it will be too fast to physically commentate, but that's fine. That's been on my mind with the Mini. I'm like, oh, they're constantly going to be back all the time. What am I supposed to? How to keep up with that? I don't know how you keep up with it as a player. I can barely figure out how commentators are going to keep up with it.
And with commentary in that aspect, maybe it's smart to look into how other esports react to their own commentary.
Splatoon is faster.
Yeah, I feel like
Splatoon is so much faster.
Even looking at something like Rocket League, that's also very fast. It has its slower moments, definitely, but it can definitely very much so keep up with something like Rocket League.
Yeah, I will say that I think it's just going to be a shift even for, like, there's already been not a purposeful shift away from a lot of play-by-play, but we've gotten the commentary the commentators have generally been improving a lot over the past few years because there have been better and better opportunities. So everyone's been locked in about it. At least I know in me and Fusion's case. And I think incorporating more color that reflects on what just happened rather than trying to explain it while it's happening.
Yeah, because so much just happens, like, in a matter of moments. Like, it's just like, you can't catch everything as well, and that's just the nature of the game. It's no matter how much, like, for instance, maybe a streamer is able to catch it, something is going to go on in the background that someone is going, that like, something
will get a triple from a flank that you didn't expect and couldn't see coming.
Yeah, like, it's like in a matter of just like, how is this player already behind them or something? You didn't see like the setup to it. It's just impossible. It's almost impossible to catch everything there. So I love the adaptation of that, of just being able to just kind of explain what needs to happen, what should or shouldn't happen,
what did just happen.
Yeah.
One thing I do kind of think we should look more towards with commentary is expressing more emotion around those hype moments. We always have a good initial commentary. The commentary for explaining is very solid. One of the best in the entire esports scene, I'd like to believe. But just in general, when a hype moment happens, where's the hype in the energy for a general commentator? I want to hear more emotion. Like, that could just be a me thing. I could just be ungrateful for what we have in this moment. But hey, we need stand out moments as my camera dies, but we'll get to that in a moment. But we just need more standout moments heading forward in commentary to make more, what's the word, like, lifetime rememberable moments that we don't really have much more of recently.
Well, we just haven't had a lot of, in my opinion, we haven't had a ton of those kinds of moments. Like, if you watch the Couch Cast, for example, for 4v4 Sundays, we had some moments like that. Which was
10 people like jumping into one spot.
I dropped an F-bomb on accident for the first time probably ever. I really try hard not to do that on streams. It's naturally in my vocabulary, but I'm pretty good about that censoring usually. But watching, you don't see players at the high levels. There's not those huge explosive moments very often right now. That might change, but it's a lot of, it is 2 minutes of us trading in mid. I cannot hype up a trade in mid.
Right.
I can explain why it's important, but hyping it up doesn't feel genuine because they hit their shots. They're top players.
I think
and
like
there's kind of sorry. I was gonna say there's like an element to it of like, you just kind of have to play with the cards you're dealt based on what match there is. If it's just like you kind of mentioned of just like most of the match is just trading and then nothing happens. It's
One
like
team happened to manage to score more points.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's just like the team just managed to play together as a team. I mean, there's definitely those moments like that, but to kind of like the iconic moments, I kind of make the comparison to like a well-long esport in terms of like CS:GO. It's been around for so long, and I'm sure that community has a lot of iconic moments in that type of stuff. But there's like a lot of variables with the differences of that. I mean, obviously, I do agree. Like, we definitely should be keeping up the energy when, like, oh my goodness, that gal got 3 or something. That definitely should be there.
But I think we keep the energy up. It's just we don't screamcast. It's not. We don't have people that like to do that. I personally don't like to listen to that, so I don't do that. I try and keep the energy up. It's something I enjoy. It's something I think about. I don't think I am ever blasé when I am commentating. I am very invested in the moment.
I feel honestly, I feel like the most important thing for like creating those hype moments is for something to be like unique or different or things to be evolving. I think that, without, I'd say, like major new tournaments, without new content in the game, without like too many big changes. I mean, we kind of got a bunch of silence, like leading up to the Switch 2 coming out. That, like, it's a lot of things that we see in the game have kind of similarly happened before. I mean, when a team that was the best, finally gets defeated for the first time. when
That's
players
always exciting.
interact in like dramatic ways. I think these kind of things happen, and we've had a little bit of a lull. Not that it's not going to happen in the future, but I think like things like a new patch, the Switch 2 coming out. I mean, a lot of locals have kind of
lots of
reinvigorated.
majors.
Yeah,
so
a lot
many
of
majors.
SuperJump 5 being a huge example. It's been a hot minute since we.
Well, and we know there are going to be 2 more Super Jumps this year. Is the other big key there? We know there are more coming.
SuperJump is so back.
It's so back. We have the announcement of the North American series.
Yeah.
Yes, like all these things now have kind of reinvigorated, I think, a lot of the community, and especially
the top players are excited again.
Yes, I mean, and I'd say, like, given the results of 4v4 Sundays last weekend, a lot of teams, have their eyes like set on. They have their eyes on the prize. They want to win. TSPMO Bloodworm put a lot of pressure on. I'm sorry, the writing of their name is horrific.
It's something. It's really something.
Yeah, but they put a lot of pressure on Milk Duds, and they definitely want to win. And now with top 4 of SuperJump going to like the Splat World Series, there's stakes. There's stakes. People want to win. I hope. I mean, if you remember, was it Riptide last year? Where
probably
everyone got stuck. It was like Rainmaker Museum. There was that splash wall. It was going down to like overtime. The splash wall blocked people from diving forward with the Rainmaker and getting the lead. I can't believe I forgot who was involved in that, but stakes.
They matter.
Snakes breed drama. Stakes.
Yeah, stakes make a huge difference. And we just haven't had, there was just a good period there where there weren't majors, there weren't things like 4v4 Sundays running. It was just Sendo Q season finales, which are exciting. They're great. But we didn't have a lot else involving our higher top level players. And at that, it was just high and top level pickups that weren't really thinking about how long they would be playing together. Whereas right now, there is definitely more consideration into what this brings. And we have Jared and .Q back. However people feel about that, they're back. I'm not upset about it personally. And that changes the way top level functions a lot, because those are 2 players that now are able to play with, I believe they're usually under Milky Way. I think Milk Duds might have been specifically the name for 4v4 Sundays. But that adds a team for FT Win to have a lot of rivalry with. It adds more teams for Volti pickups to fight against. There's just a lot more to sink for top players to sink their teeth into right now and actually fight for.
Yeah, and I think that's with the storylines. Storylines are so important. Storylines add to these iconic moments, and I mean, recently, I think the last time I saw that was like kind of in the LAN Championship Showdown. Like that was like the major thing of like people were like keeping updated with that. People wanted to see who would represent their state, their area, their city, and people wanted and that's what makes these moments. People wanting to find, like, what is the reason for me to watch this? And then I think that's what these new things, the SuperJump, this is what these new tournaments are bringing, like, and just like all collectively in a moment, they're all bringing a reason. These teams, these familiar faces, you want to see how they want to do. That's your reasoning right there. That's your storyline.
Yeah, I mean, something to note as well. Okay, yeah. Last year, I just looked up the teams. It was indeed Zenith. It was Cream Soda, which is a Starburst like with Kyo. I think that's the only player who was on is on Milk Duds.
Probably.
Yeah, and then Goss, Zenith, Thunder, and Wave. 3 of the 4 seem to also be playing in this Super Jump 5. So gonna be absolutely huge. I feel like there's a little bit of a rivalry going on there. They haven't quite beaten, it's not even the same team, it's just Q.
No.
But yeah, I mean, it's kind of been like they're still on top, even though like they've like lost, I guess. They're still like the best team.
Here's the thing. Kyo until something drastic has happened, Kyo is always still going to be, whatever team Kyo's on, is always going to be the team to beat, even if that is not true. FT Win was not the peak when Starburst was around, and it's still like, well, you got FT Win's better. And that was untrue. Starburst beat them pretty much every time for a long time there. I remember in the moment, everyone was like, oh, FT Win's the team to beat, which was so interesting. Kyo has created a brand and an image. I don't know how purposefully. Winning 7 North American championships just kind of does that.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. But it's created this situation where it's like Kyo, whatever team Kyo is on in North America will be the team to beat. Mm-hmm. And the only reason Kyo takes that over the other FT Win players is because he has done a better job branding himself.
Oh my god, you brought up the event. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see some of this stuff going on tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Those are the hype moments.
Yeah. Hype moments like this, it also builds around the storylines, which is definitely something I want to cover, but not this time around. But maybe on a future episode we can cover more about storylines and how we can particularly use them to help fuel commentary in a later episode.
Well, and I know that commentators also talk about that plenty amongst themselves.
Yeah.
We do.
But we all have our own circles, and we are all talking to each other, being like, what's the storyline for this event? What should I know heading into it? What should we get out of it?
Yeah. Which, I mean, part of what we were talking about with SuperJump is what teams are we expecting to win? In a way, we are shaping the narrative of the storyline right now.
Pretty much. And talking about storylines in SuperJump, let's head right into SuperJump. Look at the teams that are signing up and take our predictions forward, where first thing to look at is our sponsor teams with Black Lotus.
Yes.
Black Lotus returning in for SuperJump once again. Noctis, Hypnos, the classic Black Lotus team that we have known for years at this point. Mm-hmm. So, hey, it's very interesting to keep an eye out on that. Good, and also a very good job to IPL. I just want to give just a straight up shout out to IPL for announcing a few of these top teams that we or that we are expecting to see heading into this event as well. Black Lotus being one of them, Moonlight being one of the first to be announced as well.
IPL's been doing a great job with SuperJump of just really getting people excited. They've been doing a better job promoting it than they usually have in the past, and that's always great to see.
Yeah.
It takes time to learn, but it's always, like, I don't know, the Splatoon community, as far as esports go, is still relatively new. I can't say new anymore. It's too old now for new. I think it'll be 10th anniversary in August, out of memory, for Splatoon specifically.
We're like at our Super Smash Brothers Brawl moment of competitive melee.
Exactly.
Well, a little past that, honestly.
Yeah, but
like, we're that far in, which is to say, like, we're due for a resurgence.
We are due for a resurgence, and I think that's very exciting. And it feels like this summer is kind of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So many online tournaments. In-person events, gonna be super exciting,
and all of it's kind of leading into Riptide too. Like the timing's really nice.
Hey, I am going to just chill here and be hyped up. Come on, let's pull that image back up. Really quick. Who's ready for the hypest?
We're gonna let K-Bot
expedition
play, right?
match.
Yeah,
with K-Bot playing in this, totally, right?
Yeah, K-Bot's definitely going to be playing, for sure. K-Bot used to be in +1. K-Bot's actually going to carry.
I know.
K-Bot was in +1 for not playing reasons.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, this team, Zenith,
that team's going to be
Volty,
crazy.
Silver, they are the team besides Milk Duds to look
They are
at.
the team to watch
Huge,
out for.
absolutely massive. They could beat Milk Duds this time. I think that given the adaptation that Milk Duds made, now TSPMO has time
it's their turn
to adapt and try again. And I mean, they looked incredible.
They looked good.
Like, I'm always
hard
super
part-
impressed by like Zenith's flexibility, playing. Like,
I love
a whole
hyping
bunch
up
of weapons.
Volty. She's so cool.
Volty,
I love
okay,
hyping
yeah.
up the carbon player.
Volty's so like flashy, but like
Yeah,
for the longest time, Zenith was like the aggro wiper player.
true.
And I think Zenith's she. Yeah, she was playing like mini Splatling that entire event, very
Yeah.
interestingly. So it's interesting to see how like players adapt to the meta and change things around them, because I imagine when you're teaming with like a carbon roller, you gotta be able to support that with
You gotta compromise
Michelle
with the
and
carbon
Silver.
roller.
Just super strong, super duper
Yeah.
strong as well. Like, I believe we're still mostly seeing like pencil come out from them.
Probably. I don't expect us to see a shift away from pencil in this particular super jump. I think the next super jump we might, but I think this one, it's too close to the update. People are still too comfy with pencil. They're still working on their next replacement, is a good way of thinking about it. Until their pencil gets destroyed in a tournament, they're going to keep using it.
Yeah,
I'm kind of hoping that we could see like maybe an EU team such as Vanguard, or like maybe one or two teams throw in maybe a Rapid in there, maybe a 96 in there.
Maybe. I wouldn't expect it this tournament.
So, well, I'm looking at, well, really quick before it moves on to PXG, just did want to point out a team composition that we saw in Barnacle Bash coming from that Volty team seemed to be Snipe Rider, Carbon Roller, Mini Splatling, and the stickers Splatana Stamper from Silver. So we do see a splash of new stuff coming in. And PXG, like you said, Rapid, the new Winter Rapid with Cooler, if we see it, I think it's going to be from this team here. Looking at the Barnacle Bash results, we did see double Cooler coming out from PXG with Gray on the Rapid Pro Winter and Goss on the NZAP in order to support a Slosher and Dualies from the rest of that team. So it could be very interesting to see like what they're going to do. It's different players, but still they were trying out that Rapid NZAP double Cooler core. So I think we'll see that as like a maybe legit archetype coming out.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there's anyone who's going to be able to make that new weapon work, it's Gray.
It is.
Definitely.
Gray's like the best support player ever.
Ever?
Of
Yeah.
all time.
They've been
Gray's
playing blasters basically their entire time as well.
not at all in Splatoon 2.
Well, in Splatoon 3 at least, basically
Yeah.
the entire time, they've only been playing blasters of any kind.
Yeah, I mean, the team I always associate Gray with, which is very dated of me at this point,
Oh yeah.
is Kraken Paradise.
Yeah, just a little too far back for
They
what
played,
we're
like,
referring
Thunder
to.
at some point, didn't he?
Yeah, they did. They were on armor in Splatoon 2 primarily. But I will still say, Kraken Paradise, one of the best teams Splatoon ever saw.
Mhm. That era in general probably
I
one of
loved
the
that era.
probably the golden era of the community throughout the first almost 10 years at this point.
Yeah, I think it was when we managed to get the most hype around tournaments for a bit. But that's partially just that the narrative between Ghost and Kraken was so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also funny Charger players.
Also the like only heavy Splatling player since Heavy
True.
died in a heavy edit and mini Splatling shaped accident.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very unfortunate.
Kaji
what's
came
happened
back
to
right
Heavy
now?
Splatling.
It would be wild if Kaji came back.
It would be.
I
But
mean,
I've
cool.
seen so many older players just return back for like a few months and be like, "Hey, I'm doing this for fun," and they're still beating like what we would call our middle-ish
Yeah.
level teams pretty consistently and taking some really good games off of the top teams that we still have. So
Yeah, I mean, they would just need to seriously grind for a while to get
Yeah.
actually to the top again.
The tools
like,
are different, but the
the
game is
tools
the
are
same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The mechanics also improve rapidly. If you take like
Mhm.
2 months off from playing Splatoon, you will come back and it will be like, oh, my mechanics haven't necessarily gotten worse. Everyone else has just gotten that much better.
yeah.
Which is wild. It's really cool, but it's wild to watch happen.
Yeah, it's a constantly adapting game, and it's just like so much has changed. This recent update has given so much flexibility for all these teams to really play with, and I think we'll see it. I mean, we'll see splashes here and there, but definitely more down the line, we'll start to see a little bit of a new mold kind of develop for these teams in terms of kind of what they want to develop. I mean, this patch I feel like mainly focused on that like kind of like ambiguous, just like midline role of just like you can kind of pick and choose what your team wants to do with it, and I feel like that's a lot about the identity of it. It's just like
it also gave really good aggressive support options where they're not even really supports, they just can do a little support on the side of, you know, getting as many splats as humanly possible.
Yeah, and you don't see that. You don't see a lot of just like pure support anymore. That's just like, hey, you can do support as well, and that's enough for us. That's enough. Like that's all we need. We don't need a pure dedicated support. Just like somebody who's able to have that as a part of their role. And it's starting to see a lot more weapons that can kind of flex into several roles.
Absolutely, I think roles are flexible. I mean, it's that old FT. I'm gonna forget his name right now. It's that old document, though. Yeah, FLC. It's that old FLC document that Splatoon's flexible. The forced splatter shot test. Everything about Splatoon is you're adapting all the time. And if forced splatter shots can beat your comp, you've done bad. You did a bad job with it.
Yeah. Another team I also want to point out. Yeah, you got Fusion?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to say if any team is going to like really experiment with new stuff, I think PXG is. So
definitely.
You know, how well they're gonna do, I think, hinges on whether or not, you know, they've really found their flow with new tools just yet. Especially since, you know, Gray being a blaster player, now there's a support blaster.
Yeah. So. Which is
I'm excited to see what Gray can pull out with that new blaster if they decide to go back to S-Blast for a bit as well still. But another team I want to point out, Distinct. It is basically just Distinct, which is the team that won this most recent SAC season finals. I want to say like 2 weekends ago. So they're coming off a decent win and just rolling that through. I'm interested to see how this team can compete to potentially try to get top 16.
Yeah, I don't put top 16 past them necessarily. It would take a decent upset. I wouldn't expect it either with how stacked this tournament's going to be.
Oh yeah.
But they've been climbing really well for a long time. They've been improving rapidly. I remember commentating one of their first low inks. They are a team that has improved very quickly throughout Splatoon 3's lifespan and has been together for a long time now.
Especially the case of Distinct.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, make sure Afro King's internet works, please. Because their only remember there was a set they played. Their only losses were when Afro King disconnected. And they were unstoppable despite then. So please make sure Afro King's internet is good, and Distinct, I think, will have a fighting chance, definitely, to maybe potentially make some noise. But yes,
get a cool upset, probably. I could see him getting a very interesting upset. There is not a world in my mind where they make top 4, but top 16, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the like talent is just so deep in this tournament.
Yeah,
I have a hard time expecting them to get too far, but I do think like top 16 is definitely realistic for them.
Honkai is another interesting team from my perspective, just because I know a lot of the players on it. Kabi is a very mechanically good player. Nilla, I think, is on support these days. Used to be a Tentabrella way back when. I think that they're a team I would expect to make it decently far once again, but also I don't expect them to, you know, it would be a big upset for them to make it much higher than top 16.
Definitely. And other older teams as well, as we see here, Free Flow and Impulse. Some teams that are around the block here and there with some really solid players, but they just don't play much nowadays. So they're back in this major to try to show where they are actually going to be. Like,
yeah,
these are teams where I think they are going to be like borderline in redemption brackets.
yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is yet another team that I think is going to be fighting for like the 9 to like 15 like slot in this tournament. There's definitely going to be a lot of competition for that. Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's a big jump right now between high and top level, which there isn't always, but right now it's a particularly big jump, in my opinion.
A super jump, if you would.
Just maybe. Just perhaps.
Just maybe a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams just kind of just like in that weird like mid ground of that. It was just like, okay, so you need to prove yourself if you want to make it into that top level. There's a lot to prove, and it's like you mentioned, it's kind of like a large barrier to entry as well.
Yeah.
Just of the current things. There's a lot of teams that I think could definitely make some noise and prove that to themselves, prove that to most of us here if they're able to kind of show up. But I mean, here's another team that we could be talking about here. Moonlight is right there, the fan favorites.
They are fan favorites. I expect to see them in the top 10. Do I expect to see them in the top 5?
I think like
potential.
I feel like it's going to be interesting. I feel like 5th or 4th is something that may happen for them. I think they could go slightly higher or slightly lower depending on like the day they're having.
And depending on the day the top teams are having.
Yes. Moonlight's interesting because I feel like they kind of play to the level of their opponents sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
I wouldn't disagree with that. Hypernova's a team I think I feel similarly about, where they have capabilities. They're very good. But also I don't expect them to be, the milk duds of the tournament.
And we could definitely get to Hypernova in a little bit because of some slight insider information that we have. But it's not anything crazy, but it's just like, hey, here's a cool little tidbit about it. But we also have some collegiate representation in here as well. We have Wormwind from Drexel University. Grace showing up in this event.
Nice.
One of the heads for IPL supporter here with Wormwind. So
that's Grace.
Yeah. Hey, that's Grace. Gotta give a little IPL shout out. Little friend shout out there. Shout out to collegiate teams as well, because there's another one further in the back on this list. I don't remember which team right now, but once we see them, it'll definitely pop out to me. But another team here, I feel like there's another one that I should heavily point out. Foams. Yeah, let's go to Foams really quick.
Foams, super strong team. They carried my butt last Riptide, teaming with 3 of them. Very strong team. I feel like I haven't seen them in a tournament in a little bit. I feel like they're, maybe I just haven't followed so many like individual like, weekly tournaments, but they're definitely a strong contender. I think they're on the higher end of 9 through 16. I feel like they could possibly maybe sneak their way into like 8th place or 7th place.
Maybe.
It's going to be like, I think it's a bit of a shot, but they're a very good team. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them at least somewhat competing to try and get in that top 16. It's going to be like the first round of Top Cut should be really interesting with these guys, especially since I think their match, assuming they make it, would be, one of like the, 8-9 seed match or, 7-10, that sort of thing.
Yeah, those middle matches are always very exciting.
It's going to be just exciting to watch a lot of these teams roll up. Here's a quick fact I have gotten from one of our stats people here at Broadcasting Esports Every Play, and and let's see here. Jordan, or right? I think this is Jordan. Solja on PXG.
Mhm.
They have not missed a gold since June of 2024.
Pretty good.
When you say a gold, do you mean first place?
I want to say that is what it means, because the other statistic here is that in the Sendu.Inc. era of events,
Gotcha.
Jordan has a 92.3% win rate.
And you take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about players here, that's the PXG is going to be a team where you want to basically shut down Jordan.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely a handful of teams like that. Definitely a frequent occurrence. Volti is another great example of, oh, well, you can't let Volti run around. You change your comp to mess with Volti. That's what teams do.
Yeah.
To be fair, that's what you do against any good carbon. That's not a Volti specific.
I think that Len team you were just looking at.
Yeah, I was going to mention.
Yeah, there's some good potential there.
Yeah, I think they're another team that could easily sneak into that top 8. I think they're slightly more likely to reach that top 8 than Foams. Very strong results from Flinking, Ingite, and Prosper. I always like want to say Ignite, but it's Ingite. But super strong team. I think that they're gonna go far. I think they may have results. I don't know if they'll play like Vanguard or something, but I feel like that's the kind of team they could possibly upset.
Yeah. And then Aura is going to be very strong. Aura is definitely one of our top 4 contenders.
Definitely.
Zenith, Volti, Yoshell, Silver is a very strong combo of players, and if they get on a roll, it seems like they're a very strong momentum team.
1000%.
Yeah, Vanguard, one of the current top teams through France right now.
Mm-hmm.
Just holding strong. Urza, Phoenix, they've always been at the top there, with support from Jay and Reiki as well. Like, very strong players in their own right. I'm excited to see what they could do throughout this event. I do see top 8 for them. I don't think they can be any higher, though.
I would be surprised to see them in the top 4. They definitely haven't gotten any results that would indicate something like that recently.
Yeah. I mean, they're all good players. I don't know how far they're going to go, but top 4 is so contested.
It's just ridiculous, this tournament.
It's actually crazy to see what teams do end up showing up. Another team I want to keep an eye out for. It's an incompleted team right now, but STL. That is Crush Soda Thunder on that roster with Dark as well. So we don't know who the other 2 teammates are going to be for this team just yet, but I do want to just point this team out as a potential top contender heading into this event.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's just going to depend on their other 2. I also still wouldn't expect top 4 out of that. That would still be a top 8 to me.
Yeah.
I think I also saw, I believe, Condon on there as well.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah, I saw that as another incomplete team. I'm not sure exactly the situation on that, but if they show up, then that could be another interesting.
Yeah, they definitely used to be they definitely used to be a notable one. They just haven't existed, from what I've seen, in a hot minute.
Yeah, and now I think we could rotate back to Hypernova really quick, because we talked about them a little bit, but not really in depth in any way. But with our stats team, we do have some information that we actually have a connection over with K-Bot, the coach for Hypernova on our stat sheet.
Wild to see K-Bot coaching again.
Yeah, I did open the document and saw like comments from K-Bot.
Yeah,
throughout the doc.
Fern on our stats team here at Beep created a full document just as a preview on what we should look out for, and sent it over to K-Bot. K-Bot left a few suggestions down here, and a lot of them I saw basically started out saying, "Let's be clear."
Yeah.
So sounds like a K-Bot thing to say after all.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing K-Bot said about Hypernova in particular is that they've been on vacation for the past week. So a week in Splatoon top level is basically an eternity.
This close to a patch, yeah. Generally, I don't agree, but this close to a patch, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that, like, you know, the meta will adapt with these teams very quickly. I know Synapse and Henlo, I mean, they were both on Sonder back in the day.
Yeah.
And Datman and Lexi, I know, have been playing together for quite a while. So these two pairs coming together, not super unheard of. I think they're going to be a very good team. I think there's a lot of, like, just great mechanical play on this team.
Yes.
And I think that having a coach could help them, you know, really put the package together.
Find
Absolutely.
the synergy they need.
Yeah, it's a lot of raw talent, I think, of just, like, grinding these tournaments. Like, each individually have, like, really well-known names of, obviously, Henlo obviously comes to mind for me just because of my little Henlo, just a pickup of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I think definitely just, and I don't know if this is the right moment for them to exactly make a break.
Maybe
but
not quite yet.
Yeah, but it's just like the talent's definitely there. Now, bringing it together is definitely, we could be onto something. They could be definitely onto something great.
Well, and out of memory, on the note of Henlo, this is not Henlo's first time being coached by K-Bot. I believe this is the second team of Henlo's that is coached by K-Bot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do see a top 12 in their future. Yeah. Maybe a top 8, but I think I could see a top 12 here.
Yeah.
I think they're pretty much on a similar level to that Len team, perhaps slightly above. I'm not quite sure though. They're definitely going to be contesting for, like, spots like 7 to 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but one final note here, I just want to say that K-Bot put down is a lot of their focus is going to be towards Splat World Series and SuperJump 6 in the short term right now. So might not be a breakout event here. We could definitely look out for that, but probably not going to be a breakout event as they're still trying to learn each other's. They're still trying to gather each other's styles and such as they work around K-Bot with a lot of analyst experience and learn from one of the best analysts we have in the scene.
Yeah.
So with that, let's roll over to our predictions here. And oh boy, I didn't fill out the form. I know all of you did. So let's take a quick look at what we have. I can pull up the notes here, but
I know, looking back at it, I have some atrocious picks on it that I would change right now, just because of new information. Just because of new information, because I filled it out like 20 minutes before we started. So
I think through things wrong, where I'm like, well, I only think about the top team that I think will win, because that's how I grew up following college basketball, where I just cared about the one team. And so whenever I fill out a form like that, it's always an adventure.
Yeah, my team is number 1. Everybody else is one.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and even if my team isn't number 1, yes, they are.
Yeah.
It's
like you either won or you didn't.
But this list here has been taken throughout the entirety of the Broadcasting Esports Every Play team, and overall, the number 8 team is looking to be Black Lotus.
Yeah.
That seems about right.
That tracks.
I think that's exactly where I put them. Yeah.
I forgot what I had already picked, and I don't think I picked them at all. So I would probably maybe bump them up one spot because I forgot to vote for them.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. The classic. Just throw someone where you think they're going to be, or maybe a little bit above, and hope for the best. But Black Lotus number 8, I definitely see a lot of potential here.
Yeah. They're also just not a team we've seen. I mean, they don't really play outside of majors, or maybe I don't follow European tournaments well enough. That's a 50-50.
Yeah. The biggest memory I have of them, I think, is like the reason that's like holding me back a little bit about them is because of the recent Ludi season and their less than stellar season that they had.
Yeah.
It's particularly comes to mind is that initial, I believe, week 1 loss to Boyo. It was a very, very alarming wake up. And I think the rest of the season also did not go their way, especially through the rest of that. I don't think they made playoffs either for DivX.
That wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they did not make playoffs. But number 7 is looking to be Honkai. Ooh. Very interesting choice here.
They're mechanically a really strong team. They're not players that most people are going to know as much about. They haven't really had many results. But I used to be on a team with Kabi. Kabi's potential is really wild. I feel the same way about Nilla. I know less about their other players, but there's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, kind of adding to that theme, I know Caden, another kind of similar mold of just straight up raw talent that is just able to just carry you that mechanical skill. I think the reason I think I put them here as well. This match is mine as well. I just matching it of just being like their potential. I'm kind of just betting on their potential here. You have to be. I believe they will have a set that will definitely come down to the wire where there will be an upset there to get them here. So I think they definitely have the ability to get to number 7.
I think they have the potential to get there. I don't think it is overly likely, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it would be really cool. I think that would be an awesome upset. I think it would be really, really interesting. I don't know how confident I am, but it's realistic.
Yeah, this is one of the teams I definitely put that bet in. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Moving up to number 6, we're looking at Vanguard, and they've definitely proven themselves. I do think they deserve to be up here. Number 6, maybe a little too high, but definitely top 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, personally, I put them at number 5. Definitely a little bit optimistic for that for Vanguard in particular,
I don't expect
but
them to
I'm
be
not
in the
mad.
top 4.
Yeah, I think of them as a team that's just on the border of that top 4 of just just on the outside looking in until they prove something. They prove more. This is definitely a safe spot. I think I agree with this.
Yeah. Moving up to number 5, we have Hypernova.
Wow.
Maybe a little high.
But K-Bot's coaching them. It's exciting.
Was there bias in this?
I would never be biased. No. What do you mean?
I mean, I had for my list. If I remember correctly, I think I had Vanguard and Hypernova switched. I
think I have a little more faith in the Hypernova than Vanguard, just because I see them play more. I see them more active. And to me, that means a lot, especially this close to a new patch. Admittedly, they haven't played in the last week. I didn't have that context at the time. But Synapse, I mean, they're all really strong players. I think there's a lot of interesting stuff to Hypernova right now.
Yeah. For me, it's just I've seen Vanguard as well, and just they're right there. Like, I'm not saying there's a huge difference between Hypernova and Vanguard. It is right there difference, back and forth. I've seen Vanguard play through these EU tournaments, and I think just the experience of just playing together as a team, of just being a constant team and having that organization already developed just gives me the slight edge for me.
Yeah. And Vanguard also has older names. Not that the players on Hypernova haven't been around, but Vanguard has some classics in there.
Yeah.
Definitely. I am a little worried about the overseas matchup for Hypernova, though. A lot of the events they do end up playing are the more NA favored events. so they are later in the day. This is going to be more of an early morning event for a team like Hypernova going against a lot of EU talent. So I'm a little bit nervous about how Hypernova would feel up to those European teams, but I do think that they deserve to be at least an honorable mention to this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's so many good teams, and you can't put them all like in first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The differences between all of the top 8 are just like razor thin of just like.
Yeah.
I would say that the true top 3 are a little separate.
Let me take a step back on that. Actually, let me take a step back on that. Let me say like 5 through 8. I'll say 5 through 8.
Yeah, that
I'll say 5 through 8 are interchangeable.
I might even be willing to go 4 through 8.
We'll see who 4 is here.
Yeah, we'll see who 4 is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel confident in my 4 through 8. I'm good with it.
I do think this is a little high though for them.
It is, but it's nice to be optimistic about them.
Oh yeah.
They won MomoCon, admittedly not the steepest competition ever, but they did win it. That's big for Moonlight. Maybe that's some mental shift that's gonna really help take them over the edge. They're getting coaching from Chara. Consistent coaching makes such a big difference, and maybe this new patch will benefit them. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Same thing with Hypernova, though. I'm a little worried about their presence against the more European teams. We've seen them do very well throughout North America, but going overseas, what can we really expect from them heading into this?
To be fully honest, I don't see a big difference in playstyle between North America and Europe, North American and European teams generally. I find that it's similar comps, it's similar playstyles. The difference is you're fighting Gray sometimes. It just adds another top team or 2 to the mix generally. It's not a drastic difference to adapt to. There's just more top teams.
Definitely.
All right. So, but off to number 3.
Interesting.
Bloodworm. Yeah. Definitely, I would say this is a very, very fair placement for this team. They can compete with the top. They've proved themselves. This is effectively Metro plus Volti. So with Metro proving themselves, add another top European player to your roster, and oh my goodness, this is a team to definitely look out for.
I'm surprised to see this at number 3 because that means I know who the number 2 picked team should be, which is interesting. I think that these guys gave Milk Dud such a run for their money last weekend.
Sometimes you see names you know and you click them first.
That's so real and valid. And I mean, I haven't seen, like, for example, Gray play in a hot minute, but
it's Gray. I trust Gray.
But this team, Zenith, Yoshel, Volti, Silver, did so much work last weekend. I think they are going to be a veritable threat to win the tournament.
It would be shocking. It would be shocking to me if they aren't at least in the top 4. Something has gone wrong if they aren't in the top 4.
Top 3 for this tournament should be very, very interesting and close.
Yeah.
Off to number 2, Milk does.
I think they were my number 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were my number 1 as well. I just give my number 1 in general. So Milk Duds, number 2.
I mean, I can see it. I can see a Gray team being better. I don't doubt that for a second. I mean, there's all strong players, but Jared and .Q are just coming back. Ice you don't see around very often. Kyo plays all the time, but Kyo's capable of losing. It happens. Not somewhat often, but it happens. They're also a team that's fully capable of locking in if they start losing, though. They do have, like, an on switch they can flip if they so feel the need.
All of their players have a record of doing so, I think.
Yes, a long record.
Yeah. It could also be a slight NA bias I have from North America, of course. Like,
probably.
Maybe a little bit, but definitely always... Any team Kyo's on, a team to beat. Ice, .Q, Jared, they've proved themselves on the big stage previously. So it's going to be very interesting to see any Grand Finals match between this team and our number 1, PXG.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really strong comp. There's not a ton of fancy stuff to say about it. It's really strong players that you can expect to do really well. It's just going to be who plays better on that given day.
Yeah. It's an effective coin flip between these two teams at the end of the day. Like they've also
yeah, that makes sense.
There it is.
There you go. So it makes a lot of sense.
I just wanted to be different. I just wanted to be different.
How are you gonna eat that?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Snack?
We've all got foods.
I feel left out now. I didn't bring a snack.
Yeah, you gotta choose the snack, obviously.
My goodness. SMH Rockit.
But yeah, this seems fair. This seems fair, yeah.
Yeah, I think either of these teams, they're very even. It's going to be a coin flip. Who plays better that day? Who's had more experience with this new meta? Who has figured out the new meta? Because we don't really know it yet.
Right.
Yeah. Pretty much. And these two teams did effectively go up against each other in this most recent finals for Sendu Season 7 finale. With Snails, Gray, Yeti, Solja, and Noah, which many of them are playing for PXG, and the team they ended up beating 4-1 was Milky Way, which is the same exact Milk does roster. I think
probably. I don't think Kyo is in it.
Same.
Yeah,
almost the same.
Kyo is a significant difference often though.
Yes, it was still Ice, Jared, and .Q. They had Bran, then they're bringing on Kyo over Bran this time around. So a little bit more aggression to their team, and that might make it a full coin flip in comparison.
It could be. I mean, it's just who plays better on that given day, who's adapted better to the new patch. That's kind of the case for the top 3 teams to me.
Yeah.
And also, how much of a run is Volty on? How much is Volty hitting things? How good are they at controlling the carbon? Because if the carbon isn't controlled, the rest of their team runs wild.
Yeah. Sometimes it's a hot streak. Sometimes you just have the hot hand that day, and your shots are just hitting. And you just it's really simple, but like at this level, this is sometimes this is sometimes how it is.
I mean, and also the carbon gets enabled by the rest of their team, obviously. But if the carbon misses, it's really bad. It's like when you play with a traditional charger. They can't miss. If they miss, you're losing.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm as you two are talking, I'm just watching Fusion play around with the laser in the hand.
Sorry, the cats are demanding.
The cats have needs.
Yeah. It's
sorry.
It's nice
every like 15 seconds from across the room, I'm getting.
They want to make a prediction as well.
Exactly.
They do. They want the milk suds.
Shout out to the pet owners out there.
Sorry, I can't not bring up my cats.
They're important. They deserve to be mentioned.
Exactly. Oh.
I'm gonna try and bring her over here.
Challenge.
Come on, get on the table.
No,
we're waiting in excitement.
That's okay.
Almost.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
Doesn't really want.
All right, this is the most important segment.
Cat.
Yep.
Cat cam. We love it.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh,
yep.
Sorry.
There they go.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. But anything else that any of you want to bring up about SuperJump heading into it tomorrow?
Just to make sure that people tune in.
Yeah.
It'll be exciting.
The first
you are.
Kyon tomorrow. It's always me and Kyon at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Rough to be Pacific time.
What?
It's rough to be Pacific time.
I know, it's so sad. I can stay up late with friends, but it also means I have to get up early for a tournament.
So it's a challenge.
But it's going to be very exciting. It is 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
A lot
very
of
facts
a lot of
commentators.
cool faces commentating the event, and it's gonna be super exciting.
It will be.
Yeah, I'm good. I am very excited to see the Falco Shiny Hunter Zac combo for Morning Day 2. Probably two of my most favorite commentators to listen to in this entire scene. Put them together, what a beauty it's going to be. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They're always great.
In terms of teams, I just hope for chaos in terms of upsets. I hope
Yes.
our help, like, no matter where it is, maybe our 5 through 8s, maybe even our 4 and 3 just completely wrong. Like some team goes on a Cinderella run or whatever. It's a team none of us have mentioned somehow cracks top 4.
Yeah.
Like that's the hope. That's the hope. This is just to like maybe get the narratives going, maybe give some fuel to the fire of just maybe some teams like, oh, I can't believe they didn't put me in the top 8. I'll prove them or something like that. But maybe just that. Yeah, just I hope for chaos and maybe just to see some teams just like show up. Just this is gonna be one of, if not the first tournament where we really get to see the impact of this recent patch.
Yeah, I think we got a small preview of it last weekend, but I think this will be a bigger showing out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, but before we head off to the final moments, what is one matchup you want to see in the Super Jump, starting with Rockit?
That's gonna be a tough one. Here, round back around to me. I'll think about it. I'm gonna look at. There's a lot of matchups I want, but no, toning it down to one is really difficult. I am looking through this.
Yeah, it's crazy. So for me personally, I want to see the Hypernova versus Moonlight set.
Yeah.
Coach Chara versus Coach K-Bot effectively. Gotta get our show match, but have it actually happen on stage. I am excited to see that. And with two of probably what's going to be the best branded teams in this community, like Moonlight has already proven themselves with branding. Hypernova with K-Bot at the helm, you know that team is going to have really good branding of their own. So I do believe that's going to be the most exciting one to watch out for.
I really am excited to see the Bloodworms team versus PXG. I just like getting to watch European teams fight each other. It has always been my preference. I've always been a top EU teams person. So, and also I just like to see what Gray cooks up. It's always exciting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of want to see like Moonlight Hypernova. That's something that I'm interested in. Just because I don't know, when you know people from the individual teams, you kind of want to see how they fare against each other. Although you never like to see them take each other out in bracket, I do want to see that matchup pretty bad.
I would also agree with Vapor in terms of their choice, but just to be different, I would like Moonlight Vanguard. I think that would be just like a little bit of a classic there of just like you're on the border of it. And if those two teams match up, it's probably going to be later into the tournament. And there's probably a lot of stakes on the line at that point. So I think that could be an intense one of just like both teams, like this is your moment to prove yourself. Who's going to step up?
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to look at. Another event to also look out for in the near future is going to be Get On My Level, land held out in the realm of Canada.
I'll be there.
Yeah, you'll have Nox there. I'm pretty sure Jorian on production is going to be there as well. Rosters are finalized, signups are closed, so make sure to keep an eye out to many of the socials. We'll probably post it on our own socials on where the official stream for that is going to be. But But
it'll be somewhere.
It'll be somewhere. Might be on IPL, might be somewhere else. We don't quite know yet, but once we get those final words, we will make sure to promote it on our own social, so you can check that out. In the meantime, though, that has been Splat Chat with Rockit, Nox, Fusion. I have been Vapor. And you can check out SuperJump action over on IPL Splatoon, Twitch, and YouTube. Make sure to check those out. See if our predictions are right or not. Action starts 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for day number 1. This has been Splat Chat from Broadcasting Esports Every Play. Have a good night.
Bye.